Good blessed Saturday morning, September the 21st, 2024. The time being 9:39 a.m. I greet all human beings all around the world. All around the world. All around the world. All around the world. All around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. It doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. It doesn't matter whether you're the richest to the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you're the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. It doesn't matter whether you like anything that I say or do. That's your prerogative. You have a First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Freedom of press, freedom to protest, freedom of speech, freedom to associate, freedom to gather. If you're on probation or parole or you're a felon, check with your local law enforcement agencies or your parole and probation officer to see are you allowed to associate and protest and gather together with other felons or other people that's on probation or parole. This is an urgent message today to all activists for justice for all people who are God-fearing, especially people that say that they are a part of or leadership of an organization that I'm in called the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, not the local association. But what I want to show y'all, I'm going to show y'all a few things. In 72 hours, come Tuesday, September the 24th, in the state of Missouri, an innocent man by the name of Marcelle Khalifa Williams is scheduled to be executed in the state of Missouri for a murder that DNA has proven decades later that his DNA is nowhere on the crime scene, nor on the murder weapon. Matter of fact, the unprofessional, careless, incompetent prosecuting attorney back then and law enforcement officials contaminated a murder weapon, a knife, a butcher knife, that stabbed this lady 40-something times. It found the prosecuting attorney's DNA on it. But what I want to talk about is a man that I met August the 28th, 2017 in St. Clair County, in St. Louis, Missouri. And his name is Attorney Nimrod, Mr. Nimrod Chappell. He's the Missouri State Conference NAACP president, meaning that he's the president of all the NAACP presidents in the state of Missouri. He's a man that cares about all people. He even sent something concerning my son to the next jurisdiction in Illinois for them to look into the death of my son. We'll talk about that later. But you know, he called for all NAACP members back in August of 2017 to come down to St. Clair County, where it was going to be a protest and a news conference to halt the execution of Marcelle Khalifa Williams. And Mr. Nimrod Chappell was successful. The last governor of the state of Missouri, he put a halt to it, and he assigned five retired judges to look into it. They had been looking into it for the last 6 years. But the governor here now is scheduling this Marcelle to be executed. He disbanded those 5 judges before they even came to their conclusion. But they scheduling him to be executed this Tuesday. I want all the prayer warriors to come out. I want y'all to look up this case. Now, I may be the only NAACP member here. I've been following this case and being a part of it since I met Mr. Nimrod Chappell. I wasn't even an NAACP member then, but I was the only NAACP member from Southeast Missouri, let alone Charleston, Missouri, to go from Charleston, Missouri to St. Louis, a 2.5-hour ride. Speaking up and being behind a man that I didn't know at the time, and speaking up for a man that I didn't know anything about. But when you look at this case, you will see that an innocent man is about to be executed. Y'all pray for Marcelle Williams. Let's pray that we have more NAACP state conference presidents like Attorney Nimrod Chappell. He's a good man. He's a man that cares about justice. Check it out. NAACP members to meet him in St. Clair County on August the 28th, 2017 to protest and to come to the news conference to halt the execution of Marcelle Williams, who's on death row in the state of Missouri for a killing of a white female in St. Louis, Missouri. Since then, DNA evidence has shown that Marcelle Williams' DNA was nowhere in this lady's house, nowhere on a knife that's supposed to have stabbed her 40-something times. Mr. Nimrod Chappell, when we standing there, the conference was over with, the protest was over with, but he was successful in getting a halt to Marcelle Williams' execution back in 2017 up under the last governor. But since then, this governor in the day, he disbanded the individuals that was the 5 retired judges that was looking into the innocence of Marcelle Williams' case. But he disbanded this new governor who's he's not running again this year. He can't because he done did all the terms he could do. He disbanded the 5 judges that was looking in to see whether Marcelle Williams was innocent. Now they have a execution date set for Tuesday, September the 24th, 2024. Now, Mr. Nimrod Chappell, I give him high honors and respect because after I met him, I followed what he do. He is for the people, period. He for justice for all, period. He fight against discrimination, period. And he volunteers to do this here. His staff volunteered to do it. They even looked into the case when I told him about my son, Brian Lamont Johns, being found hung in Carbondale, Illinois on Friday, March the 19th, 2021. Him and his staff, volunteers, looked at it, the case, and he sent it to the Illinois State FBI, into the Illinois State Conference, president of the NAACP, to look into it because he seen red flags in it. He came down here to Charleston, Missouri a few times. He went in May of 2017, when Tory D. Sanders was beaten to death by some Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County police officers and some Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County sheriff deputies in the Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County Detention Center. He came down and he spoke on that. He spoke on a few years ago when Tyrone Anderson was found dead in that same jail. This man today, you'll see him speaking up, trying to halt the death execution of an innocent man on death row. All I can say is, let's pray for Marcelle Williams. Let's pray for more individuals.
And there are last-minute efforts to save Marcelle Williams. He has maintained his innocence for a 1998 murder in St. Louis County. Justina Coronel has been following the case. She joins us from the newsroom.
Well, this week, several appeals were made seeking a stay. Now, this isn't the first time Marcelle Williams faced a close call and being executed. In 2017, former Governor Eric Greitens paused his execution just hours before. Now, Williams inches closer to another scheduled death.
I hope a miracle happens, you know what I'm saying?
Marcelle Williams Jr. prays for a different outcome for Dad.
I would want people to know he has a huge heart. You know what I'm saying? He's very caring.
His dad, Marcelle Khalifa Williams, faces execution on Tuesday for a 1998 murder in St. Louis County. Williams has maintained his innocence. Now, several appeals to Missouri and federal courts are filed to issue a stay, including claims of new evidence of racial bias.
We found out that jurors were stricken from the jury panel.
Missouri NAACP president backs his attorney's arguments. Trial prosecutors unconstitutionally removed black prospective jurors because of their race. St. Louis University law professor Anders Walker weighs in.
The only hope here is a due process ruling from the federal court saying whether or not Mr. Williams is guilty, there was racial bias, and that'll derail the execution.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson could also grant clemency at least 24 hours prior.
Governor Parson would probably grant clemency if the actual killer came forward and said, I did it. Beyond that, I think he is ready to execute Mr. Williams.
We have faith that Governor Parson will do the right thing.
Major decisions are still on the table days before time is up.
So if this is the way that he going out, we already made peace. I would be a witness to it, to the execution. I'm gonna stand there firm and show my dad he's not alone if this was it comes to, and I'm ready for it.
On Monday morning, 24 hours before the execution, oral arguments are happening before the Missouri Supreme Court to argue the prosecutor's appeal. The National NAACP president and Congresswoman
today
Cori
to
Bush
say that state-sanctioned violence has no place in a humane society. Next Tuesday, Marcelle Khalifa Williams is scheduled to be executed for a crime he didn't commit. Despite credible evidence of Williams' innocence and mass scrutiny over the fairness of this trial, Missouri Governor Mike Parson and the courts have yet to stop an innocent man from being executed. Within the last 4 decades, only 4 individuals on death row have been exonerated in Missouri. Since 1973, at least 200 people have been exonerated from death row in the U.S. A 2014 study estimated that at least 4% of those sentenced to death are innocent, a majority of whom are black and brown. I am urging Governor Parson not to let another innocent man be murdered at the hands of the state. He must heed this call. And as a proud co-sponsor of the Federal Death Penalty Prohibition Act, Congress must also act. Let's end this racist, this flawed and inhumane practice once and for all. Save the life of this innocent man. Thank you, and I yield back.
Now that y'all done seen what I just said, let's get out here and pray for this brother, y'all. Let's ask that justice be done. Let's ask that his life be spared. And pray for the brother, attorney Nimrod Chappell, a good man. One day I would like to see him to be the national president for the NAACP. Peace be still.